to hop on. I was trying to avoid the, what is it called? The shadow. Okay, here we go. This has become a hot mess today. I was trying to avoid a shadow, and what am I missing? I know what I'm missing. I was trying to avoid a shadow so that you can see the full design today, because it really bothers me when there's a shadow. But then I realized I'm a little top heavy, so I probably need to. There we go. I always put a weight on my mount where I paint, where I set all of my cameras up, so that it doesn't come blind forward at me, because that's happened. That's happened, and it's not fun. So how are y'all doing today? Let's get our Vanna White skills going just a little bit better. How are y'all doing? So we're going to go full table, where the majority of the design is going to be all you see, and not my mug, but we're going to be painting our reindeer friend. I have drilled some holes. Well, I actually did my laser, but you can use your drill too to drill holes. There we go. And I was just test driving it. Now I have some lights here that will fit, but they're way too long. So we're not going to use every single light in here. And if I was to do the holes again, I would probably do less holes, only because that's a lot. I think that's like 50. And I will show you what I would probably use next time. It's just that was what I had on hand until I went yesterday and got these. Where were they? They're the Dollar Tree ones. And the Dollar Tree, oh, here they are. Nope, that's not the Dollar Tree ones. The Dollar Tree ones have like 10. There's like 10 on the string. And I apologize for my dog in the background. If he starts barking, I'm so sorry. I put him outside just because he was driving me crazy. So I just knew it would eventually drive you crazy as well. So let's get to painting while we are chatting. I'm just going to go ahead and pull out Laguna. We're going to paint with Laguna from Deco Art. It is kind of an aqua blue. It's a darker aqua blue. And I'm going to put it on my palette. And instead of using my 2-inch base coat brush, I just have this sponge from the craft store. You can also get them from the hardware store. They're the same sponges that you would wash a car with. And I'm just going to base coat the whole thing. Okay, it's just a faster way and a cleaner way of base coating. You can do 2 thin coats in no time at all. And especially with all these holes you really don't want to get a bunch of paint in. So I would much rather do 2 thinner coats with a sponge than break out a 2-inch base coat brush that I normally use and get a bunch of gunky paint in those holes. So now the one thing about a sponge is you want to lightly dampen it. Lightly. When I say lightly, I mean you could barely tell that it is damp. And that's only because it's going to soak up a lot of paint. So if you don't want to end up using a lot of paint when you're using a sponge, I would recommend dampening it well in advance of using it. And then that way it won't soak up this paint. See, this, I did not dampen mine. See how far it went into my sponge. I keep wanting to call it a brush. So how are y'all doing today? I don't see any comments. So if y'all are trying, there we go. Woo! Jerry says she's listening. So that was the very first one. I guess I had to call Facebook out for them to actually show it to me. Hey, Marie. How are y'all doing? Jerry, I got your message this morning. I am so far behind on messages. So if you have sent me a message, please be patient with me. I am getting caught up today. Today is the day that I'm getting caught up. Kind of proud of myself for as far as I've gotten. Woo! We had a lot going on last month, and then Procreate crashed on me. Procreate did a massive update, and it crashed on me, and it wiped out all the designs for Erica's Template Tribe, and I had to literally redraw every single one of them. Now, luckily, my old designs, they weren't affected, but all of my newer designs, I'm guessing because the older ones were backed up to the cloud, so they just kind of refreshed themselves. But the newer designs, like the last couple months, maybe the last 2 months, maybe this past month of designs, and then last month's designs, they were affected. Morning, Nicole. Morning, Rebecca. I'm donating blood, so this is great to watch while I wait. You know what? Better you than me. I'm not allowed to donate blood. Not allowed. They won't let me in the door anymore. Now my daddy, they beg him. He's that blood type that everybody, they just want to donate blood. He's like that universal or that ultra rare. I think he's the ultra rare blood type. All right, I want this super dry because we're about to use painter's tape. All right, so I want you to look at this. Not any paint seep through the back. Now, had we used a brush, that would have been a hot mess. Hey, Dana. I can do blood. I can't do platelets. So I think my dad does blood, platelets, and plasma. I think that's what he does. Don't quote me on that. Okay, so I'm going to add just a little bit of white to my palette. And with my dirty sponge, I'm going to put just a little bit of white. And where, I'm not going to call him Rudolph because I don't think that's okay. Where my reindeer, we're just going to go in circular motions and blend it out. Okay. Now, remember, I only did it on this one little corner. I didn't touch this corner, right? So I've got my nice little highlighted area in the center. I can come back with the other side, the clean side. And I'm going to blend that out with my sponge. That's going to give us a nice little highlight towards the center without having to work too hard for it. And make his little face pop off of the background. Now remember I told you we were going to do 2 coats? This would be equivalent to 2 full coats with a brush, but without all the mess. So when you're doing something with drilled holes, I highly recommend using a sponge. And if you're doing multiple door hangers of the same design, you can save the sponge in a Ziploc bag and base coat all of yours at the exact same time. Or if you're doing them in like batches of 5, you can base coat your 5, put this in a Ziploc bag. This will still be wet whenever you get back to it. And that way you're only using wet. And then you can rinse it out just like a brush and use it again on another color. So speaking of a Ziploc bag, because I am done with this. Hold on. I am going to add just a little bit more white to this center. I just really want it to pop right off of the background. And I'm going to take that clean side. Now that is an extra. You do not have to do that. Okay. Now the one thing about using a sponge, your hands will get so messy. And that's okay. You know, we're going to wash our hands anyway. So they get messy. They get messy. That's why I wear an apron. That's why I wear an apron. And that's why I always have a rag handy. Instead of paper towels, I always have a dish towel. That's what I used to paint with. I use dish towels instead of paper towels because they last a lot longer throughout the project. And they hold a lot more water, and I can really wipe my hands clean if an accident happens. And if I spill something, I'm really quick with a towel. It's just a lot better than a plain old paper towel. Hey, Monica. Hey, Susan and Cindy. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so we want to blow dry this, and we want to blow dry it really good because we're about to use some painter's tape, and we want our painter's tape to stick. Remember what painter's tape is supposed to do. It is supposed to not play well with wet paint, right? It's supposed to repel wet paint so that it doesn't get underneath it. Well, the problem is if it touches wet paint on the adhesive side, the adhesive's not going to stick, so the paint's going to get underneath it. So let's avoid that and blow dry real good. So while we're blow drying, okay, so This was kind of inspired by that Christmas song, and we all know which one. I mean, we can all just assume which one that this one was inspired by, right? I want to know, what is your favorite Christmas song? Because my kids and I drive my husband crazy because we're a house full of Cindy Lou Who's, and we live in a house with a Grinch. Like he gives us just enough Christmas as we can possibly get out of him. But man, if he could forego the actual holiday season, he would. And we drive him crazy because about a week before Halloween, even though we love Halloween, about a week before Halloween, we're singing Christmas songs. It drives him crazy. Drives him absolutely bonkers. So I'm just touching it, looking for cold spots. Like up here, it's a cold spot. Dana's daughter likes to make fun of me. So if you see Dana in the comments, her daughter loves to make fun of me for rubbing the wood. You're a mean one. Nicole loves the big green man. There goes my Christmas lights. I'm going to move my Christmas lights over here because we're going to need them later. So we've got a nice dry base. We're going to take some painter's tape. Now, I usually have inch wide painter's tape, but I ran out. So we're going to use, I think this is 1.5 inches. This might be 2 inches. I don't know. So we're going to use this. We're just going to pick a spot. We're not going to get real picky about if it's super straight or if it's a little off. It's just the background. The part about the background is get it on there and move on to the fun part. The background is just that. It's just the background. Nobody is inspecting your lines or inspecting your stripes. Nobody's breaking out a ruler and seeing if you have perfect right angles or if they're perfectly spaced out. And if they are, they're not your friend. They're not your friend, and we don't need to let them in our door, do we? We need to show them the love of Jesus, but that doesn't mean we have to let them in our door. Well, I guess it does, because he would have let them in your door, right? All right, but y'all know what I mean. All right, so we are already about half done taping up our background, and all I'm doing is I'm taking 2 pieces of the painter's tape, and I'm putting one on east and west, or east and west, left and right. And as long as I'm as far left and as far right as I can go, I'm pretty much insured to get a perfectly straight and well spaced out line. All my lines should be completely, that's not the right word, completely, should be the exact same size, and they should be straight to the original line, which was this one. There we go. So I was in Michael's yesterday because y'all remember I took a vote on which floral pick y'all liked the most. If you didn't get to vote on that, it was almost unanimous. It was almost completely unanimous. And it was B, that middle one. And that's the one I was hoping y'all would pick. Because it kind of jumped out at me as well. Even in the big display of all of the picks, it just jumped out at me because I don't know, because it wasn't necessarily because it had the holly berries in it or the cranberries, whatever you want to call them, because there were other ones that had that. It just jumped at me. So we got that one, and tomorrow there's going to be a fun bonus tutorial for the week. I will tell you, it will have a free template that comes along with it. I'm totally checking it. What? Jessica Carpenter up in the house. Hey, doll, what you doing? Christmas Cookies by Georgia Strait. Y'all, please forgive me. By George Strait. All right. Maureen Bosley said Georgia Christmas Cookies by George Strait. Y'all, I'm going to get it right one of these days. Okay, so I'm going to take a baby white. There's so many ways to do stripes. We could use our sponge. Or we could use a baby wipe, we could use brush, we could use a sponge stopper, we can use a makeup sponge, but I'm just going to use a baby wipe because it does go on a little thinner and I don't want them to be super, I want them to be a little transparent. I just want it to be a little different from the original background. So the baby wipe is going to help keep it from being super transparent. I mean, allowing it to be a little more transparent and just be the hint of striped lines, right? So good to see you, Anna. I'm so excited to be live with y'all today. Last week has just been a doozy emotionally, and I'm not even gonna lie, I'm gonna be super real with y'all. Last week I was an emotional week, and I feel like I've had those a lot lately, and I've learned no matter how much I want to hang with whomever, whenever, wherever, that if I'm in a mood, it's no fun for everyone else around me. So I just saved y'all from it. I just saved y'all from it. Just know that I was planning on popping on when I was my best. I'm not very good at faking it till I make it, so I didn't even want to come on and lie to you. So I knew I was going to make it at least by Template to Wednesday, which today is Template to Wednesday. So if you're wondering what Template to Wednesday is, today is the day. It's where all my templates and JPEGs are buy one get one free. So as long as you have 2 in your cart on my website, it will automatically add the discount for you. Now, had I painted that on with a brush, it would have been super, super saturated. That is just a ghost of a stripe. See? The glare is showing more than the actual in real person, if that's even the word I'm looking for. In person, it's not as bright as the camera is picking up. It'll be gorgeous. I knew it'd be B, but I chose C. You know, I liked C. A was not my favorite. I'm gonna be honest. A was not my favorite, but A was just as perfect of a contender as B and C. B was my favorite, not gonna lie. C I liked as well. C was really close. It was close. That's me. I can't go live when I can't go live when I'm in my emotions. I feel awful at the end of the day if I bring someone else down with me. And so it's just one of those days. And I couldn't even fake it. Like it was just one of those, I was gonna be like this. Love y'all. I can't do this today. Like it was just one of those, I couldn't even bump up my mood. All right, I just blue dry it, whatever you want to call it. Just for good measure, because we're about to grab a small angle brush or a small flat brush, and we're about to add some of our antlers in. Okay, so this one is about a 3/8 angle. We have khaki tan. We're going to go straight from the bottle. We're not mixing anything with it. We might add a little white for a highlight, but we're not going to get super crazy with it. But we're going to base coat first, okay? So I'm just going to fussy paint this in. Be very careful. Now, if you're transferring your design with a template and carbon paper or transfer paper of some sort, then I recommend just transferring the antlers and not the tangles for the lights quite yet. Just the antlers, because I'm having a hard time seeing the antlers through the lights, the string of lights. It's like seeing the forest through the trees. Okay, hold on one second. I gotta catch. Let me do this real quick so I don't. There we go. I just had to. I keep mistaking the antlers and the string of lights, so I wanted to make sure I didn't overpaint something that wasn't supposed to be. Go. Now these will need 2 coats because burlap is it's not thin. It's not a sheer paint, but it is a light colored paint. And sometimes your light colored paints like your buttermilks and your whites, they have really good coverage. And this does have good coverage, but it needs about a coat and a half. It has about, it needs just a little bit more. It just needs a little push. But that's okay because we're going to add a little bit of highlight. And when we add that second coat, that's when we're going to add our highlight. So, favorite Christmas song. So far, we have had Christmas Cookies by George Strait for Marie Mosley. Nicole Harper said, "You're a mean one." Mr. Green Man, because we don't even want to play with Disney. We're not even going to say his name. I'm loving the little hangers. Okay, so I have a bunch of Christmas small attachments, okay? And I have a plan for that. I have been preparing for this all summer and all fall long since Christmas in July. I have been planning to do some projects with these smaller pieces. And we're going to probably start doing that maybe next week, maybe the week after. I do not plan to skip over Thanksgiving at all. But y'all know me, Christmas is my jam. And we have been singing Christmas music for about a month now in this house. Now we wait for Mr. Wallace to leave so we don't drive him crazy. We do respect him because he is not a huge Christmas music fan. But my kids have been singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer for about a month. Mallory calls Erica my boss. Oh, good Lord. Mallory is her daughter. I am not the boss. I am nowhere near the boss. I'm not even my own boss. I mean, I technically am, but I'm not. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and base coat his face while that's fully drying. I'm going to pull in a wider flat or angle brush. I just don't want to go too wide. So let's do this one. Let's do a 1/2 inch. Let's wet our brush. Remember to always wet your brush. It helps load the brush evenly. Okay. That is not the color Erica Ray. That's okay. We won't let it go to waste. We'll let it be a good base coat. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and base coat his face, his ears, the bottom of his mouth. It's okay if you want to go ahead and fully base coat his nose as well, just because the nose is going to get hidden with the red anyways. So I like to outline on the chisel and then come back and fill in on the flat. It just creates, see how much, it gives me about 1/4 of an inch. Gives me about 1/4 of an inch of wiggle room so that I don't go over the line and make a huge mess or make, especially when we do circles or circular objects, they tend to grow and grow and grow with every pass we make. If you empty the brush, so if you notice at the very beginning, I emptied my brush over here and then I came in on the chisel and I went all the way around. And up on the chisel just means instead of going like this with the brush, I was up, straight and down, and I used the very tip of my brush like it was a pin. And I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to smooth out my brush strokes. Okay, I'm going to empty my brush. And all that does is it keeps the brush from creating this big old paint ridge on the edge to where it's going to take forever to dry and you could accidentally smear it. I've never had a client say there was a massive paint ridge or paint mountain or, they've never noticed it, but it can cause problems when you're actually painting. So they are nice to avoid. See, I have one right here. I have one right here. You can't tell probably. Look at me. I just dipped in the wrong color. That's okay. I can make it work. I was going to highlight his face anyways. Okay, so to highlight his face, all I did was while the paint was wet, I threw in some of that khaki tan on my brush. I started in the center and I did rainbow shapes all the way around, but I didn't touch the outer edge. And I brought them back in. And that created almost like as if I threw in a float. Like I floated it in there. Okay, I'm going to do it again down here. I'm just going to put a nice wet layer of paint here because you need your base coat to be nice and wet. Okay, because it will not work if it's not wet. You need wet paint to move around with this technique. So I have a dirty brush. Let me move this up so you can see it. It's about time to change out the under paper. I think I've been using this for almost a year. So look how much I put on here. It wasn't a whole lot. I'm going to start from the center, about the center of the nose. Probably put a little bit more. And I am just going to make U shapes all the way out. And I'm going to bring it back into the nose. I'm going to make sure that my paintbrush starts in the nose and ends in the nose. We don't want any funky brush strokes making their way in the middle of his face. And you can go back this way. And then I just smooth out my brush strokes. It takes a little bit of practice. I want the top of my face and my bottom of my face. They don't have to be the exact same color. You want the top of the face to be a little more highlighted than the bottom, just because that's where you want their eyes to pop. It creates so much more dimension. Now let's paint his ear. I am going to bump down in size. I'm going to break out that 3/8 brush that we just had. Where'd I put you? Where you at? There you are. All right, so I'm going to pull in. I never did tell you what this was. This is the traditional burnt umber. Okay. Up on the chisel. See, Remo wanted to act a fool. Can y'all hear him trying to get in now? He's like, I promise I'll be good. He's just going to have to wait till we're done now. It's a nice day anyways. It's been super cold. Today is a really nice day outside. We don't have any rain. Now, usually I would paint these ears first, but I got so distracted by throwing that khaki tan on my brush by accident that I didn't want to waste it. And I knew we were going to do that step anyways. So technically, I would have done these ears first. Did all my shading in the ears, all my highlight in the ears, and then I would have done the face. But we'll make it work. We'll get the same result. We'll just work harder for it. I like to do things in layers. I like to work from the back forward when I'm doing something like this, especially when there's a lot of shading involved. And avoid having to fussy paint, which this is what I consider fussy painting. See how I'm trying not to touch his head? Because I worked really hard on that. I don't want to have to repaint that. I really like how it turned out. So I'm going up on the chisel and I'm just tucking his ear right there. And I'm hoping nobody ever notices that I didn't paint the ear first. And then We're going to come back to this one. I'm going to throw a second coat. He's going to get pushy. He's such an old man now. If you can hear him scratching on the door, it's like his knocking, hey, I'm here, let me in. And he was barking at the neighbor earlier. The neighbor was moving a few things around outside. He does not like any kind of commotion outside. And I got tired of him being bossy because the neighbor wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just being bossy. Good morning, Cindy and Sherry. How are you? So we were just telling everybody what our favorite Christmas song is. So if you have a favorite Christmas song, I would love to know. I would love to know. I like them all. But I am that crazy person who I know it drives everybody else crazy. But I love the Mariah Carey All I Want for Christmas Is You. I know it drives everybody crazy by the time Christmas season is over because every store is playing it. Every radio station is playing it. It doesn't matter if you're listening to country. You could have it on rap station. I promise you, they're going to play Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. They're going to do it. They can't help themselves because it's that good of a song. I grew up with that being a new song. So I guess it's just one of those because I remember hearing it for the very first time. The first time it was played. It's just special to me. Oh, Lori says mine is raunchy. It's Santa Baby. So in my house, growing up, Santa Baby, we played it. But you had to know my family. So my grandfather played Santa. And he was the local Santa for the longest time. And he played Santa. And to hear Santa Baby, I was just so offended. I was like, why is this woman calling my grandfather? Like, why is this woman? And I truly believed my papa was Santa well into middle school. Well, he had me fully convinced that I was an elf. True story. Not even gonna lie. Okay, so I did clean my brush. It was really gunky. I put the burnt umber back on my brush, and I'm going to do the same thing with the ear that I did with the face. I have a wet background. It's not dry yet. And I put just a little bit of that khaki tan. I'm going to go right down the middle. Okay. I'm going to go back into burnt umber. And I'm just going to create this little mini ear. It's just going to create a little bit of the inside of the ear. What I call a mini ear. Inside of his ear. And then I'm going to clean my brush. Put just burnt umber on it. And smooth that out. Santa Baby. It's going to be stuck in my head now, Lori. It wasn't until like maybe last year, honestly, that song did not get on my nerves. Last year, I was like, you know what? Papa's been gone a good decade. It's time to let it go. But I'm telling you, as a kid, offended. Sherry says she loves Santa Baby too. Traditional, the first Noel, contemporary, All I Want for Christmas Is You. Yes. Oh, by Vince Gill. I've never heard of it, and I love country music. Okay, so I'm just going to throw a light, thin coat just to create a wet layer of paint. And then I'm just going to throw that. Boom. Okay. And we're just going to create the inner ear. Add as much as you want. Take away as much as you want. Just remember, if it gets too out of hand, you can always wait for it to dry and then repaint it again. Nothing's set in stone. think we need to go a little lighter, just a little lighter. I like them all. I am a traditionalist, though. I will catch myself choosing traditional Christmas music over contemporary most days. But I love. Now, remember, I'm cleaning my brush. I'm putting just the burnt umber, just a little bit. And I'm just kind of deepening up that edge. I'm going to keep a nice dark edge as best I can. And I'm a traditionalist when it comes to most things Christmas. He's going to drive me crazy with that door. He scratches it like it's a glass door. He scratches the glass. It's echoing a little. Oh, God. I was just worried about that. Let me see if I can fix that. I bet you that was the problem. Sometimes if I have the volume just a little bit up, it'll echo. And sometimes it's how close these things are together. Okay. So now we have our ears all painted up. This is going to drive me crazy. We're going to fix that. I can't. It's going to drive me crazy. Right up at my little, we're going to use this little flat brush just to kind of touch it up. I'm just going to put some burnt umber. And just a little bit of our khaki tan. Okay. There was this little bald spot for me. And see, I just created it again. It happens every once in a while. It doesn't happen often. It drives me crazy when it happens, though. It's like it doesn't want to stick to the base design. Does that make sense? Like, that was driving me crazy. All right, so here we go. Usually it's because moisture got up underneath the original coat. So the original blue, which is the original background, not the stripe. Okay, I'm gonna use my finger, see if that helps. Nope. Sometimes that helps, but it's not. I think we're just gonna leave it alone. Maybe when it dries, it'll look different. I'm going to have to sand my entire reindeer and start over. Oh man, Lori. I hated it. She sent me a picture of it. It was beautiful. And then she set her plate down on it for some reason. And it peeled some of her paint off. And I felt so bad for her. All right, we're going to take our white and we're going to base coat our eyes. Yeah, the whole thing. Sometimes I put eyelids on them. Sometimes that's the whites of the eyes. Okay. There's one. We're going to need 2 coats because white needs a little help. It's one of those colors I was telling you they do really good when it comes to coverage, but they need a half a coat just to make them fully opaque. Or in other words, give them full coverage. Hey, Deidre. He was looking cute too. Oh man, Deidre, you aren't lying. He really was. He really was looking cute. I was so excited to paint this one last week. And then when I got in a funky mood, I was like, man, I could still paint. I even cut 2 out. I was like, you know what? I'll just paint one by myself. Maybe it'll put me in a better mood. And I didn't even get to it. I was just in a funky mood. I hate those moods. Oh, oh, Terry says, Oh, Holy Night. Gene Autry's version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We love okay, so we love Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We love Run, Run, Rudolph. Santa, yeah, gotta make it to town. That one, we love that one. We love Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. We love those, but we love the traditional Christmas church hymn type Christmas songs as well. I try to teach my children those. How's your mom and him? My mom's doing pretty good. My mom just got back from Ohio. She had a really good trip with her friend. Sarah is as crazy as ever. Sarah's my sister. A lot of people got to meet my sister and my mom at my retreat that we had back in September. My mom catered. I loosely say that word. My mom catered, and my sister was just a really good sister and came and hung with us. She supports me in everything I do, and so she came and hung out for the entire weekend. I tried to get her to stay the night, but she lived 5 minutes from the hotel, so she would not stay the night with me. I was like, man, whatever. Now you're making me feel like a raunchy little heifer. Okay, so like little C, I love the word heifer. Y'all, if I ever say the word heifer, I do not mean it derogatory, and I do not mean it in a hateful, spiteful way. I grew up, my household, my mom's last name is Hurd. And so there were cows everywhere. We decorated with cows. My mama loves cows. In the church, they did not realize that my maiden name was Smith. They just called us the Hurd family. And so it was just the running joke. Heifer. It was just, it doesn't bother me. And it never dawned on me that someone could take offense to it. And I said one day, listen here, heifer. And so it was an older lady. And I was like, oh no, what did I just do? She took so much offense to it. And I was educated that day. I was like, see what happened? What happened is you got to know my mama. My mama wouldn't. She doesn't. I got in so much trouble by that lady. I got in so much trouble. Okay, so I'm just putting his little eye color in. I'm just going to do the same Laguna as the background. It's going to need 2 coats. I'm telling you. You gonna crunchy on me? What? You going crunchy on me? Crunchy. Churchy. Why did I read crunchy? It's my dyslexia, y'all. Okay. Here we go. We're going to blow dry that. Remember, if you want more opacity, you want more coverage, you need to blow dry each individual layer. That's priceless. So if I ever say, listen here, heifer, it's an inside joke to myself. Just know, I do not mean offense about it at all. And with my sister, there are no punches pulled. I call her heifer all day long. She calls me skank. So I'll say, listen here, heifer. She goes, listen here, skank. Inside jokes. So a lot of people from the outside looking in, you would be like, oh my gosh, they really hate each other. No, they're terms of endearment in my household. Now, my children have not been raised with that language, but when it's just me and my sister, it can get it can sound very hateful. Let me put it that way. It can sound very hateful, but we mean it with all the love in our heart. Honestly, if we didn't call each other names, we probably thought something was wrong. Does anybody else have a family like that? Like anybody else raised in a family like that? Churchy. It just took me a minute, Lori. It just took me a minute. I got there. Where is the template for this reindeer? Okay, so Cindy, this one is in the shop. This one was released last week, but it's on sale with all the other ones. All the designs are on sale today and tomorrow. This one is in the shop. What are you called? What are you called? I think it's Tangled Reindeer. I think that's what his name is. But if you just put the word reindeer in, it'll pop up. Oh, I don't like what I just did there. There we go. Your sister is such a hoot. I just fell in love with her. Everybody does. Everybody falls in love with Sarah. I can have my cup full of her sometimes, but I'm her sister. But I love my sister. And you know what? I can't say one bad thing about my sister because my sister has supported me in everything I did. I have a lot of respect for my sister. My sister is probably the hardest working person in the room. And she does not halfway do anything. She puts her full energy into everything she does. I love my sister. Now, can she ride your nerves? Oh, she tap dances on my very last one sometimes. But she knows that. And so I think she does it on purpose. But I'm her, like, again, I'm her sister. And so it's just one of those things. Your sister's going to get on your nerves. And I have friends that don't have a sister. And I feel bad for them because, well, I don't feel bad. But, it's one of those things. It's a bond. Even though we could not stand each other growing up, I'm very proud of the relationship we have now as adults, because I don't know if I could have done this whole adult thing without my sister. When I was a single mom, my sister was right there. She was always there. She was always there for my son. She was always there to help me remind myself that I'm worth so much more than I was giving myself credit for. If you don't know me very well, hello, my name is Erica, and I have low self-esteem a lot. And I can really be hard on myself. And my sister was always there and still is to remind me it's not that big of a deal. And you're gonna do a good job on it. So why are you freaking out about it now? And she's my realist. She is such a realist. She doesn't let the small stuff bother her, and I'm a little jealous of that. I don't necessarily let the small things bother me, but I do worry. My sister does not worry, and it's almost sickening. So I just put a little bit of white on my brush. I'm just going to go ahead and brush it on the very corner of all of these little loops. I call them loops of the antlers, just the little horn part of the antlers. Just adding a little bit of light without overdressing them. This is totally a skippable step. This is not necessary. Because remember, we're going to put lights on this thing. No one's really paying attention to all this extra stuff that I'm putting on here. It's just something, my brain won't let me skip it. Y'all know me. I have to shade everything, highlight all the things. My mama's birthday was on Halloween. My sister and I called her Wicked Witch all the time. I mean, we pretty much call my mama that, and her birthday is not on Halloween. I'm joking. We don't call my mama that. But that is funny. I call her Heifer, though. I do call her Heifer. Erica always got to be extra. I gotta be. All right, so there's our reindeer. He's not completely finished because we still have to do his nose, and we still have to do the pupil of his eye. I'm just letting everything dry. We're going to blow dry real quick. Oh, you know what we forgot? His cheeks. Let's throw some cheeks on him. Let me grab a pink. Let's grab a pink. I know I have one right here. This is dragon fruit. Okay, just one drop. That's all you need. Okay, so I'm going to take, it's called a mop brush, okay? I'm not going to wet it. Every once in a while, I told y'all, you'll need to wet your brush. But every once in a while, you don't. This is one of those times. We're going to mop. And we're just dirtying up our brush. We're going to do a little bit of a dry technique. This might be too dark of a pink. It is. So we're gonna match both sides. Just because we want it to be. And with a light hand, I'm going to grab a lighter pink. Actually, let's just take the back of our brush, take some white, and mix it in with that dragon fruit. Just need a baby pink. So poodle skirt pink would be perfect. Okay, so see, that's actually too much. So I'm just dry brushing off the majority of this pink. And I'm going to go in circular motions, and it's just going to slowly build up. If you notice, I didn't go back to the paint palette. I went back to this, where I had brushed most of it off. Eventually, you will have to go back to the paint palette, but you just don't want to dirty up your brush. You see? Hardly any paint on my brush. Hey, Sharon. Erica equals goals. Thank you. Y'all know me. I don't take those very well. Thank you, Lori. I love you so much. That's a huge compliment. And I'm just lightly mopping that on. Now, a mop brush is definitely a brush for a more advanced. If you get to a point where you're like, oh, I just want to try something new, I recommend drawing some circles or some ovals on some spare mixed media pad paper or on some canvas paper or craft paper. I get this at the Dollar Tree and I just fold it up and that's what I paint on. All right, so we're done. I'm going to clean it. And the way you let this dry, you clean it really good. It's just like a round brush. I pull it straight. And then I dry it completely flat. It'll poof back out, okay? It'll poof. Just don't touch it. It's just like a fan brush. Just don't touch it. Just let it air dry all by itself. Okay. This is driving me crazy that it's all the way over here where it's supposed to be. And this one's just over here, just ever so slightly, but no one's going to notice. You can also do the same technique. Let me find a dry flat brush. That one's dry. So remember, it's got to be dry. Do the same thing. You want more control. This is going to shake the table. I recommend doing light circular motions with the least amount of paint as you can possibly get on your brush. And just build it up. It will build up. It will look like there's no paint on your brush whatsoever. But see how it's building up? In real life, that's barely there. The camera is picking up more than anything. Okay. So you can do it with all different brushes. I like the mop brush because it gets a perfect circular motion. But the key is going over here and getting the majority of it off. There we go. I want just a little bit more. It's going to drive me crazy. Right here. The apple of his cheek. There we go. Like I said, on camera, it looks a lot stronger than it really is in real life. So this is a dry brush. It's just a flat. We're going to clean our brush. Leave it alone. Okay. Is Dana keeping you supplied with paper bags? I still have a good chunk. In fact, I was going to paint him on a paper bag today, but he was just too big. He's perfect. These are perfect size for garlands and attachments. And I thought I had made him a 9-inch attachment size like I normally do. I made him a 12-inch wreath attachment. That's what I did. And I was like, oh, well, no wonder he doesn't fit. He's 12 inches, not 9. We are going to take, this is just a filbert. It's a pretty good size filbert. It is a 3. I'm not going to lie. It's already rubbed off. So we're not even going to lie about that. I need black. Just some black paint. Gonna knock most of it off. Because we don't want nice thick black. We just want it to be okay. And I like a filbert because it gets in these nice round half circles really nicely. I'm just up on the chisel and I'm just filling it in. Concentrating so hard on this. Okay. We love you to the moon and back. Moon and stars and back. Don't make me cry, Lori. Lori, I'm wearing your shirt today. I wore it just so I could wear it for my live, and then I realized, well, crud, my apron's going to cover it, but she'll see it. Even though the nose is going to cover up the majority of anything that I get past the nose line. So if I get too crazy past the nose line, no big deal. But I don't want to necessarily purposely get it past the nose line because it is black. All right. Speaking of the nose, we're now at the nose, and then we'll do some paint pen action. So we need either a flat or an angle. We are going to pull in. Let's do, I prefer an angle. But we're probably going to do a flat. Just because this is the size I would want in my, I don't have an angle in this size. So we're going to use Santa Red. I've only seen her once since the retreat, and we were dress shopping. Dana keeps you supply. Oh, that's why. Okay. Yeah, we went dress shopping for Mallory. But prom's coming up. Prom's in the spring. I'm already inviting myself to dress shop for prom. So this is Santa Red, rightfully so. And we're just gonna, remember, knock it off in the center and then come in on the side. And if you want to get a nice, tight, clean edge, come in up on the chisel, which means straight up and down and trace the outer edge. And that creates just enough of an outline for you to not get too crazy outside the lines. If you get nice and tight on that edge up on the chisel, I promise you, you will very rarely cross that line. Okay, so going to knock it off in the center. Nine times out of 10, if you cross the line, it's probably because you're putting too much pressure on your brush, and your brush bristles are doing this number. The more pressure, so when you do the lightest amount of pressure possible, your bristles stay in place. With more and more pressure, they splay out like that. So if you're going over the line, it's probably because you're putting way too much pressure on your bristles. There we go. So we're going to let that dry. We're going to do a second coat, and we're also going to highlight it just a little bit. We're going to highlight it right here on the top. Now, normally I would glitter his nose, but since we are doing lights up here, you can still glitter the nose and it won't be too much. But I want to put the lights up here instead. So while that's drying, instead of blow drying it, let's go ahead and start painting our light bulbs. There's 3 colors. I'm going to pull the smallest sponge dauber. This is the second. Now, if I did less lights, I would probably go with the second smallest. But I'm going to go with the smallest, and I'm going to pull 3 of them out. Remember to have an extra Ziploc baggie handy to put your wet daubers and sponges and all the things that need to be washed that would dry and ruin in the baggie. Start with the red ones. So I've loaded it and I'm going to prime it, which just means, oh, and I'm going to put a little bit of white. We're going to do ghost polka dots. Okay. We're just going to pick some. We're just going to randomly pick them and we're just going to go straight over the center of those holes. I don't know how many are on here. I'm just randomly placing them. Just making sure no two are side by side. So right here and here and here. Let's see. I do a red one right here. Okay. Set this off to the side. I'm not ready to put it up yet, but we are going to put it aside. Now let's pull yellow. I want to do bright yellow. We want a bright yellow. We don't want a dull or a pastel yellow. Normally I go for buttercream or banana cream as my yellow, but we want bright. So we're going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to add some white just because it adds a natural highlight. Now green. I have leaf green. You can use festive green. You just want a bright green, not a light green, a bright Crayola green. Okay, we want a bright Crayola green. Okay, remember we're gonna load our dauber up, add a little bit of white. It adds a natural highlight. Ramo is trying his hardest to get in. Let's see. Do another green one here. I think I'm gonna do another red one right there. Done. Now that's all the holes. We're gonna put these in the Ziploc baggie. And we'll just wash all our sponges all at once because you have to sit at the sink and rinse them out and do all that jazz. Now let's put our second coat of red on our nose. While we're doing that, it's allowing those polka dots to dry. That is a lot of lights. In retrospect, looking back, I probably won't do as many next time. I'll probably do about 10. Dollar Tree has, I think, 10 on their string. And these are the exact same holes size as the Dollar Tree ones. I've already test drove them. So I won't have to change hole size. I will just have to change the number. Okay, so we have our second coat. I'm just going to add a little bit of white to the corner of my brush. And with a wet, dirty brush on a wet base coat, I'm just going to add a highlight on the top half of his nose. Doing a couple of swipes. There we go. Now you can also do, if you want, we can go on the bottom and I'll show you how to do a low light. Now, would you use black to do your low light? Isn't it cute? I'm headed home, stopping at Buc-ee's. Are you gone? I didn't realize you were already gone. I saw Mr. Paul this morning. Hey, he's looking cute. I know. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get these lights in him. All right. Would you use black to low light his nose, to do the shadow under his nose? This is, yes, it is a pop quiz. Would you use black? I am testing your shading knowledge. There's two colors that you could use other than black. Maria's right. It's no. Let me see if I have the other one here. I'm about to rock your world. I'm hoping I have it here. I already have one on my palette. I don't know if I do. What color would you use? Darker red. I wouldn't even use a dark red. You can use like a brick red or a cranberry red, but I'm not going to use red. There's two colors. One's already on my palette and one I'm about to use instead. The only problem is I'm going to go ahead and create my little wet base coat, because remember, you want wet on wet. What color? I'm about to blow your mind. Marie's right. It's purple. So I'm going to use lavender. Some mid-tone purple. I just need a drop, and this is practically empty. Let me see if there's just enough in the cap where I can steal it. There is. Okay, you don't need much. I promise you, I'm about to show you my brush, and you're barely going to see the purple is right here. The tiniest little bit of purple. Remember, purple is made by starting off with red, right? To get purple, you need red. So naturally, purple is a darker tone of red already. You can barely see it because his little face is brown. I was naturally going to skip that. Now, the other color you could have used, and I'm going to use it now, is brown. Brown will give you a darker shade. Just remember, you want wet on wet, so you want to make sure you're going on top of wet red. You want to make sure it's nice and blended in. Brenda, the kids devoured those Buc-ee's cinnamon rolls. Hayden was so excited when he saw the cinnamon rolls. He was like, "Oh man." That was his breakfast for like 2 days. Maybe 3, because Ray ate half of one each day, and so but he ate about 3. There we go. Okay. I'm learning more from y'all than I did 4 years in art in high school. You know, I never took art in high school. My sister did. Sarah took art in high school. Sarah was very artsy in high school. You know, I just did art as therapy. I was a crafter, but I only craft in my bedroom. Did y'all know if you turn volume all the way down, the words come up on the bottom? Pretty cool to know if you're at work. We're not even going to ask if you're at work. We're just going to, you just know that, right? Dana, he is. Nancy, I have something for you. I've been meaning to message you. She lives right down the street from me. I've been meaning to message you. I have something for you. Cindy says she's at work. So if you turn the volume all the way down, captions come up. Okay, so we could have done our string before our dots very well, but you can also throw them in after the fact as well. Not that one. I have one that's kind of janky and one that's in really good shape. This one's the one in really good shape. We're going to go ahead and do his mouth. Okay. Now, I always kind of pinpoint when there's a curved line that I'm drawing. Kind of helps me stay kind of without it getting too wonky or wavy. There we go. There's his little mouth. Now, I want you to see his rosy cheeks. In person, they look more even. I'm looking on the camera here, and this one's looking a lot more vibrant. In person, they look the same. They look exactly the same. And so don't worry about. Now, when you do your strings, you want to make sure that your string is wrapping around your antler. You don't want your string to, let me put this. You don't want your string to look like it's just going zin, 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 zin. There's got to be a break. You got to have places where the antler shows, where the string goes behind the antler. It just creates the illusion that it wrapped around the antler itself. Like right here. I'm going to go in front, but it right here. See, I'm going in front of the antler, but right here it went behind. I bet you I just put my hair in all that paint. I'm going to move my paint palette because I'm about to put it in my paint. What are you going to paint on live again, Miss Ma'am? Watching with my husband, and he's already thinking of other backgrounds to paint Rudolph on. Okay, so Debbie, do you remember our napkin background, like our napkins? You could so get Christmas napkins that have like snowflakes and stuff, and you could do a napkin background and paint your Rudolph on him. That's something. What size is the hanger? Sorry, I missed that. So this is just a 12-inch attachment size. Hold on, I'm trying to. Okay, sorry, my eyes are playing tricks on me. There we go. Make sure everything is attached here. This is going, there we go. Yep, okay, there we go. So we've got our lights. We've got our nose. We need to outline his eyes and do his little eyelashes. This is a 12-inch attachment, Debbie. Oh, Debbie. All right, I also need to do the little twinkle in his eyes. We can't forget that. Let's see, we'll probably do, okay, we're going to do this small one, and then we'll do a smaller version. So this is just a small sponge dauber. Okay, I'm going to take the back of that sponge dauber. And create I always do two. So there we go. Again, don't forget sponge dauber in the Ziploc bag. Wash them all out at the same time at the sink. I always keep Ziploc bags all over my craft station just because of that reason. I forget to grab one, so I have just started recycling my Ziploc bags and keeping them very close. All right, are y'all ready? We got blow dry, and then we attach. Oh, no. Y'all let me forget the outlining of. I always outline the outer edge if I don't outline anything. Oh, I hate this noise. Do two. And right here, I'll do one. See what I did there? I started off with 3, 2, 1. It's just one of those little things that I do. All right, we're done with that. I'm not going to put any more outline in on him. After he completely dries, I might come back and outline his little face, his head, and his antlers, but I don't want a whole lot going on with him. I'm lying. I am going to go ahead and outline his little face just because I want his little ears to pop. Just like that. Go. I am going to just do a little bit around his face. I don't want to do too much. I'm going to do, okay. So I'm sorry if I'm making you dizzy by rotating. I'm trying not to put my hand in. I did not blow dry his light bulbs. So I'm trying to be very careful. See, I had a little bit of yellow and I just smeared it right there. All right, so there's that. I don't know if I want to do anything with his antlers. I need to. I think I'll come in with white for his antlers. White for his antlers and his nose. Bring in my 3M white. That look weird? I think I should do his nose all the way. There we go. Just give him a little gleam. Just accentuating where we put a little bit of that white highlight earlier. I don't want to do too much. I just want to add a little bit of highlight, a little bit of definition without making it too heavy. Because I feel like sometimes we get a little heavy with the paint pen just because they're easy, right? Francis, just in time for the best part. It's lovely with earbuds in. Francis, I'm so glad that you were feeling better. I've got to catch up on our chat, but I saw the tail end of the conversation where you made it home and we're doing really good. Thank you, Pam. Oh, that would be so pretty. The I love you sign. See, some of them don't know what the I love you sign is because they're not in tribe. Just saying. If you're not in Erica's template tribe, where are you at? All right. So now I'm just adding my lights. We have just a few more minutes. Okay. These go through. Okay. So I'm just going to hold it just like this. We're going to go full screen. Just like that. Okay. We'll just go full screen for a minute. And I'm just adding one light per hole. They're perfectly spaced out to where it's not going to be too bulky on the back. Now, because the lights are about 1.5 inches, apart, or 1.5 inches deep, they will pop your wreath. This is a wreath attachment, so it won't make too much of a difference on this, but if it was a door hanger, it would make your door hanger sit just a little bit off of your door, just because of the lights being about an inch. Well, they're about 1 inch now that I put the actual light bulb in the wood. That takes a good bit of it away. Y'all, I can't wait to... I have been playing around with this thing unpainted for days. I have been waiting to paint it and get it all strung up and the lights turned on. All right, so I'm going to need y'all to vote. There's 2 versions of this. Okay, we're going to go back to... Go back here. Okay. Here we go. Like I said, I have way too many lights, so I'll just hide this behind here. I'm going to recycle my lights anyway, so I'm not going to glue these down or anything like that. I'm going to recycle these lights. I do not want to have to repurchase these lights multiple times, so I'm just going to recycle these. Now, if you are selling these, obviously you won't have that luxury, so I do recommend getting the Dollar Tree lights that have about 10, 15 on them, and kind of hot gluing those in. So there's Steady. This is what I'm going to call Twinkle, okay? So this is the one, okay, there's 2 versions that I want to vote on. So there's Twinkle, and then there's Strobe. So Twinkle or Strobe. There's multiple other ones, but these are the 2 that I want to vote on how I'm going to have it on my door. So y'all tell me what you think. We'll just go through these while we're voting. So Twinkle, which was the first one, and Strobe. Okay, so here we go. Here's Twinkle. And here's Strobe. So there's your second. Okay. Oh, it's almost like unanimous Twinkle. Okay, so that's what I was thinking too. Okay, Twinkle. Okay, I think that's what we'll go with. So I am going to bring him back sometime between the Christmas season. So all of my Christmas designs that we've made in minis, they're going to make a comeback. So he will come back, and I will show you how I will attach him to a wreath. To make him an actual wreath attachment. And these will just be little workshops to add things to your little door hanger arsenal for next year, or for the next time you make a design and you want to make it more than just a door hanger. We can use these designs for more than just door hangers. We can use them as wreath attachments. You can use them as cake toppers. Has anybody thought about a cake topper before? We can use them as baby door hangers. A lot of us use the cutesy little animal ones as baby door hangers. A lot of us use them as gifts. We take them to craft fairs. But I want you to know, sky's the limit. Your imagination can run wild. These designs do not always have to be just a door hanger. How many lights is on that string? I do not want to admit to that. I don't. It was just what I had. It's just what I had. So I did, but I finally was able to find a string at the Dollar Tree that they're the exact same size bulbs, but there's only 10. And I think that would look better on our little design if he personalized. Roxana says personalized tags. I love this idea. I love adding lights. I've added lights to a lot of designs before, but never specifically placed like this. I've added lights just now. Tomorrow, y'all do not forget, tomorrow we have a workshop. It's a pop-up workshop. I am so excited to teach y'all a couple of new techniques, and lights will be involved. So y'all hang out with me tomorrow. It'll probably be about 10 o'clock tomorrow, a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't worry, replay will always be available. If you have trouble finding the replay, just send me a message and I'll send you a link to the video. No big deal. I'm not going to say what it is, but I will say a free template will be involved. Free template will be involved. So what time tomorrow? About 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Give or take 5 minutes here or there getting set up. Remember, I got to get Raylan off to preschool, and sometimes that's a struggle. But other than that, we'll be here tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, for a quick little workshop that's going to elevate your door hangers and your wreaths and all the things, home decor. Like I said, we're going to be adding lights. There's going to be a free template involved. And what we voted on earlier this week, as far as the floral pick from Michael's, will be involved as well. Siri set a reminder, 10 a.m. Wednesday morning. I hope I didn't set any of y'all's devices off. I'm going to have to take an early lunch break. Y'all don't forget, replay is available. You do not have to be live for it, although I do love the conversation and the company, but it will be available for replay. Well, I will see y'all tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you later. Bye.